Peanuts!
WTF! WTF!
Hello, I'm Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com. You are my sexual wank pheasants, and welcome to all of the WTF moments from an episode of Monday Night Raw that rendered Extreme Rules completely and utterly pointless. And considering how crap that show was, doesn't that make you feel so much better about life and all of your prospects heading into the future? Does it, bollocks? Let's get cracking with the knocking. And so we opened the show with Kurt Angle doing a sort of speech you only see at awards ceremonies. He thanked his mom, he thanked his dad, he thanked the Raw superstars for their efforts at Extreme Rules, before claiming that he hasn't heard from Brock Lesnar or that big sweaty bastard's representatives in the previous 24 hours. Kurt, you do realise that we all have Twitter, and we all saw that was tweeted out from your account roughly 5 hours before Raw went on the air last night. I mean, of course he didn't, because when Kurt Angle sees followers on Twitter, he presumably thinks candy floss or something random like that. Otherwise, he wouldn't tweet random bollocks like that, would he? Now let's just forget about Paul Heyman saying that Brock Lesnar loves being in WWE and loves being the Universal Champion. He loves Vince McMahon's deep pockets and the fact that Vinnie Mac turns into a soy boy more like when he does that little jig, you know? Let's just forget about the fact that Paul Heyman claimed that when Brock Lesnar eventually challenges for the UFC Heavyweight Championship, he'll wear the Universal Championship around his waist with pride. There's more piss and chance of a 9-man match being booked in WWE again. And finally, let's just forget about the fact that Paul Heyman congratulated the WWE Universe for having their voices heard for wanting more Brock Lesnar. The only WTF moment from the opening monologue from Paul Heyman was the fact that he called Kurt Angle intelligent. If there's one thing that Kurt Angle has proven over the past year and a bit, is that he's lost all of the four eyes. He's no longer about the intensity, no longer about the integrity, no longer about the intelligence, and no longer about the interracial. Where the hell's Jason Jordan? He's all about one eye, and that's idiot. And next up we have Drew McIntyre claiming that one of the key reasons he came back to WWE was to keep that Intercontinental Championship around the waist of Dolph Ziggler. Now it's clear for all to see that Drew McIntyre must have been eating a sheep's ass or something when he arrived back in WWE, because when he came back last April, Dolph Ziggler was not the Intercontinental Champion, and when he debuted on the main roster this year, Dolph Ziggler was not the Intercontinental Champion, so how could the belt stay around the waist if it's not there in the first place?
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Roman certainly got legitimate claims to a Universal Championship opportunity. According to Corey Graves, it is clear for all to see after losing his one and only t-shirt, he stopped caring. Bollocks. It's just flooding out of his mouth. I've said it a million times, now say it once more. He lost fair and square at the Greatest Royal Rumble and has had more opportunities at that jammy dodger than the entire rest of the roster put together. I think it's time we moved on with all of our lives, isn't it, Corey? So then, Extreme Rules. Complete waste of our bastard time, wasn't it? Even though Bobby Lashley condemned me to an evening of wrestling roleplay phone sex later this week, Bobby, I hate your guts, and I'm very happy your eyebrows decided to leave you. His win over the big dog Roman Reigns didn't matter, because as we all saw at the start of last night's show, we had 2 triple threat matches with each winner from those triple threats going to face each other next week before going on to face Brock Lesnar's teeth at SummerSlam. Now I think we can all agree Extreme Rules was crap, but now knowing the main match of the night meant absolutely nothing, it makes the event even worse now, doesn't it? Question for all the wrestlers in the back: why on earth are you so stupid? All you had to do last night was walk down to that ring, tell Kurt Angle that he deserved a shot at Brock Lesnar's championship, and because he was feeling randy seemingly, Kurt Angle would have sorted that out by putting you in a match to get there. Why didn't you? We could have had 30 triple threat matches on last night's Raw and it would have been absolutely fantastic. And next up we have the moment where Jonathan Coachman literally said, "You've got to know that Brock Lesnar is watching Raw somewhere." The only way that sweaty bastard was watching anything Raw last night was by him looking at the raw meat on his plate that he'd probably eat with his hands, the scruffy get. He was a boy, she was a girl. Could I make it any more obvious? Yes, I could. That on the right there, that is Karen. That on the left there is either Felix and or Zach. They didn't know each other before last night's show, but as Karen put on Twitter, they were brought together by Cultaholic in wrestling, and I'm sure this is what the Twilight series was based on. They didn't know what was coming. They were sat 2 rows apart with similar signage, and oh my lord, my heart is about to burst. It's not the cholesterol. Join them in joining us.
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Corey Graves called Drew McIntyre Drew McIntower, and even though this will be a great nickname because Drew McIntyre is as big as a bastard tower, it's clear that Corey Graves didn't mean it because he wasn't patting himself on the arse for 5 minutes after he said it. Therefore, WTF. Oof, me crabs! Back we go to Coachman once again as he goes 2s up on a banjo with 2 mistakes in a matter of seconds. First of all, he claims that when your boy Finn Balor does a tope over the top rope, it's amazing to see. I didn't know, like. I mean, it's good, but the man does win every single bastard match, so by now, I'm sure you'll agree, we're all numb to it, aren't we? And then he claimed that when you see a man the size of Drew McIntyre do one, which he did, the big bloody mad bastard, it's something you never ever really see. Unless it's Luke Harper, or The Undertaker, or Roman Reigns, or Big Show even gets up there sometime. That's it! It's happened for a third time. I can no longer make it a WTF moment going forward because once again a Scotsman called Drew McIntyre flattened a Samoan called Roman Reigns with a headbutt, despite the fact that we all know that a Samoan called Roman Reigns has the hardest head in professional wrestling because all Samoans have hard heads in professional wrestling because that's the rules of professional wrestling. But Seth Rollins, with a head that hard, are we not questioning whether Drew McIntyre is a goat shagger instead of a sheep diddler? Kurt, the counselling, how did it go? You're asking how did it go? Are you for f***ing real? You're telling me you put that bollocks on our television screens and you didn't sit through it yourself? Sorry for swearing, but I'm absolutely livid at the Raw general manager right now, although there is something to salvage from this entire scenario because with bollocks like that, Kurt Angle got one of his eyes back. Not only is he an idiot, but he's also ignorant. And then, right to Bayley's face, he came out with a line that was proven absolutely incorrect when he sent Bayley and Sasha Banks to counselling. Get this right, he said right to Bayley's face, here on WWE Raw, we settle things in the ring. Why the hell were they on a couch then, Kurt? Idiot, ignorant, and I cannot believe you say the things you say, you pleb. So, then, instead of booking them in a singles match against one another so they can settle their differences once and for all, Kurt Angle sees fit to book Sasha Banks and Bayley as a tag team against Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox, and then threatens poor Bayley by saying if she and Sasha cannot get along, then one of them will be off to SmackDown Live, and for some reason, Bayley's face looks like that. Wake the piss up, Bayley. $1.5 million over 5 years, Friday nights live, apparently. WWE calling SmackDown their flagship in their recent press releases. SmackDown is the place to be, so why do you look so sad, child?
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
And next up we have the fact that Corey Graves claimed that his heart couldn't handle it if Kurt Angle shipped either Bayley or Sasha Banks to SmackDown Live. Does he not realise he's a commentator on SmackDown Live? Or is that the Dave Hebner to his Earl on a Tuesday night? Nah, he's just a numpty. And next up we have the moment where Bobby Roode came down to challenge Dolph Ziggler for his Intercontinental Championship, and then because a referee came down to the ring to referee the match, Kurt Angle sanctioned it. This was made very, very clear to us by the commentator, so it must be true. The referee then tells JoJo what's going on so she can make an announcement, but just as she does, Dolph Ziggler's like, whoa, hang on there, chick or honey or whatever your dad said in the 1980s. I said he could have a match, but not for my Intercontinental Championship. Surely that's irrelevant, pal, because that referee's been sent down by Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle sanctioned a match between you and Bobby Roode for your Intercontinental Championship. Plot hole. Maggle, 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 maggle. Mere minutes after that shot there was on screen, Maggle Cole claimed that Seth Rollins got himself into a 3-0 lead before Drew McIntyre got himself involved. Nothing else to say here. Back to Coach when we go once again, and we have the moment where he claimed that nobody can argue that the Intercontinental Championship Iron Man match should have main evented Extreme Rules. I can, and in the words of the big dog, I will. There was a world title on that card last night, the WWE Championship. Apparently it's the most prestigious and lucrative and all that bollocks belt in the history of professional wrestling. Whatever card that is on, that belt should main event, because it's the biggest and the best in the world. And back to Cole we go this time, who was talking about the veteran instincts of Dolph Ziggler in his match against Bobby Roode. Now, Bobby Roode professional wrestling debut 1998, Dolph Ziggler professional wrestling debut 2004. That of course means, Maggle Cole, that Bobby Roode is more veteran than Dolph Ziggler ever could be. So direct quote from Maggle Cole this time, Mojo Rawley buries his shoulder into the midsection of Tyler Breeze. Ah, Barry, it's happening a lot, Coachman replies. Of course, Jonathan Coachman didn't get his word of the hour into the first hour, so tried to get that word of the hour from the first hour into the second hour, and while he was trying to do so, Maggle Cole was talking over the top of him, because if we didn't get that word of the hour from Jonathan Coachman, I'm sure we would turn off last night's WWE Raw and never ever watch WWE again. It's that integral to our enjoyment of life. So cause Michael talked over the top of Coachman, that's where the burying took place, and it was pissing unbearable. So then, the most confusing storyline of this or any other generation, with the I love you, I hate you, will you marry me, will you become the surrogate mother of me dog, will you adopt me father, between Sasha Banks and Bayley, ended up with Sasha Banks declaring her love for Bayley last night. Yes, I'm confused as well, but I guess this is very much open to your own interpretation. What I took from this situation was sibling love. Not romantic at all, despite despite the fact that several people tweeted me last night with what could be their dreams. Dirty bastards. Now I hate me brother, but if anyone was beating him up like Dana Brooke and Alicia Fox was last night to Bailey, I mean I would stand there and film it and then put it on You've Been Framed. But what protocol says you should do if your sibling is getting beaten up despite the fact you hate them, even though you really love them, you go and save them, apparently. That's what's happening there, I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Hello again, Maggle, you prick. At the start of the match between the B team and the Ascension, you claimed that this was the B team's first tag team championship defense, but by the time we got to the middle of that match, you claimed that if the Ascension won, they could get themselves a tag team shot down the line. So what's happening here, pal? Please let me know. In terms of WWE banking on us fans forgetting what's happening to the bollocks that comes out of their mouths makes sense, this has got to be some sort of record, hasn't it? Hey Mickey, you're a numpty, Humpty Dumpty. Hey Mickey. Did she really tell two men that's something you'll never be while putting Alexa Bliss's Raw Women's Championship? I don't know, but I'm pretty sure, Mickey, because they're men, there will never be any kind of women's champion, never mind the Raw one. Aye, but if the Red those tweets to be throwing that stat down deep into a cave in Thailand or somewhere. And next up we have the moment where Alexa Bliss claimed that her strongest muscle is her brain, and in that moment she proved that her strongest muscle is definitely not her brain, because as we all know, a brain is an organ. Dr. Tweddle. See, you'd like to shag a dead person then, would you, pal? Why would you carry a sign around saying that in public? Oh, you didn't know? That's Ronda Rousey, not Road Dogg. Or my record score on the Nokia game, Snake. Or a delightful chunk of Mr. Kipling's lemon slice. It looks good though, Ronda. I'm not saying it looks bad for a second, I'm just saying it looks like other things. So then, not only did Kurt Angle not reprimand Ronda Rousey properly for attacking Alexa Bliss and Mickie James once again, he also admitted live on the air in front of the world that he stole Baron Corbin's phone. That's a crime. And I'm just trying to work out, Kurt Angle, how on earth Lady Balls wouldn't find out about the two things you're trying to hide from her by stealing Baron Corbin's phone, preventing that big baldy bastard from phoning her. I can feel the bollocks tingling already. Oh, there he is, superstar Apollo Crews. There he is, telling those young whippersnappers, the authors of pain, that he was once where they are, trying to make a name for themselves in the tough world of WWE. Here's a news flash for you, pal. If WWE fired you today and didn't put an announcement out, I doubt anybody would notice, much less care. You're at the same level they are, you delusional little smiley man.
Made a grave mistake, Corey.
Whoa there, Corey. Now she's got Viking roots, has she? Now, of course, people who follow Sarah Logan on social media will see that her and Ro from War Raiders do like the Viking and the swords and all that bollocks. But when you put this slice of new information together with the tater farm and the uncle and the growing up and the eating and the wolves and the mountains, I just think they're speaking utter bollocks. And now it's time for this.
Wankety wank, wankety wank. Wankety wank, wankety wank. Wankety wank, wankety wank, wankety wank.
Hello and welcome to Wankety Wank, the section of WTF moments where just like on Blankety Blank where they fill in the blanks, a sexual wank pheasant tweets me with a WTF moment I have missed, and I give him credit because I'm great. Thanks to Fairwarm.gaming, with a slice of history that might or might not be true. I didn't do history very well. Who's going to SummerSlam? Rollins, Elias, Lashley. We find out live next, Maggle Cole says. You hear that, everybody? No point in tuning into next week's Raw to see Bobby Lashley take on Roman Reigns, because as we all know now, Bobby Lashley will go to SummerSlam to face Brock Lesnar. Maggle announced it last night. And Maggle, when you're talking about getting shafted by Drew McIntyre after what we learned last week about the big old Scotsman, it makes me want to bath. That's it for all the WTF moments from this episode of WWE Raw. I've been Ross Tweddell from Cultaholic.com. Thank you very much for being a sexual wank pheasant. Follow me on Twitter at RossOnWrestling. Pledge to our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Anything you can afford to give us will be greatly appreciated, and we'll love you forever. But most importantly of all, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and then join us everywhere on the social media.